You're listening to Side by Side with Kathy Wilson, episode 18. Anything can happen at the grocery store. Would you believe it, Hickory? It's time to buy groceries again. Yeah, I assumed. That's why we would be in the grocery store. I'd rather be at the Dairy Queen. As usual, my girl had her own opinion, and I had mine. I could feel Hickory looking about and checking on things. She needs a bit of time to see where things are, because this store likes to move their merchandise around. Hick is sure that this is deliberately done to give her extra work, and she is probably correct. I needed Miracle Whip and dill pickles, so I asked Hickory to find me the pickles. I expected her to turn left, which would take me along the outside row where both salad dressings and pickles could be found. She did not turn left, but made a right in the opposite direction. Blast her, she is probably taking me to the cookies. I stopped my girl and gave the left command, and pretty soon we were where I believed my pickles should be. But they were not. For once will you go where I am taking you and not where you want to go? There's no pickles here or olives either. Hickory had every right to be frustrated. If I wasn't going to follow her lead, then what was the point of asking her in the first place? Management had pulled the old switcheroo again. I apologized to my girl and realized we would have to tackle the store now row by row. That takes so much longer, and Hickory really gets impatient with delays. Okay, Hickory, since we are here, let's see what's on this aisle. The first thing of interest was a package of cookies. Hickory, find the Dad's cookies. She immediately led me to a display of yellow packages, and sure enough, there were the Dad's oatmeal cookies, so good for dunking in a cup of tea. I put one of the bags in our cart and prepared to move on when a man near me expressed some surprise. Do you mean to say that your dog can actually read the labels on things? That is absolutely amazing. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't just seen her do it. His question came as a complete surprise, and I knew it should be answered. Hickory does not read at an advanced level. If you asked her to find a different word, such as encyclopedia, she wouldn't be able to do it. Little words are not a problem. Yes, I did tell that whopper with a straight face, even though Hickory looked at me in total disgust. Give me a break. Hickory can't read big words like encyclopedia, so that part was true anyway. I'm going to tell my wife about this. We have a Shih Tzu. Do you think he could learn to read? Dogs are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. Why don't you give it a try? Come along, Hickory. We still need ice cream, pickles, and Miracle Whip. Anyone who heard that list would have wondered if I was pregnant. After all, pickles and ice cream are suspicious when listed together like that. Pay special attention here. Put away your knitting. I was not even a little bit pregnant. We checked out 3 more aisles before Hickory stopped in front of the dill pickles. Ralph liked them with his ham sandwich, so I selected a large jar. This would make him happy for several weeks. They go well with meatloaf, too. A few steps further along, my trusted guide stopped again, and this time we were beside the salad dressings. It is no easy task to find the Miracle Whip. because it is surrounded by other jars that are pretending to be the real thing, but they are only fraudulent wannabes. They disguise themselves with the same blue plastic cap and the same shaped jar. Trouble is, if you remove the lid and have a taste, you can tell right away that it isn't the genuine article. If Hickory could actually read, this would not be a problem for me. As it is, I have to ask. Okay, Hick, only the ice cream left to find, so let's be on our way. She pressed forward and turned down the next aisle, but it was evident we wouldn't be finding any ice cream here. There were no freezers in this aisle. We did pass the cat food, so I selected a dozen tins for our cart. Panda does not like tuna, so I only chose the tins that were not colored blue. I knew the tuna came in blue cans and the salmon came in pink. Panda did enjoy salmon, and Hickory thought I spent far too much time choosing cat food. Stupid cat! Just get her a bag of kibble if you must insist on feeding her. Hickory needed to learn a bit of tolerance when it came to Panda. She really was a very nice cat. We had to investigate 2 more rows before we came to an aisle full of freezers. Of course, I never bought the cheap brand of ice cream. I needed to be certain that it was made with real cream and nothing but the best ingredients. No artificial flavors or colors belonged in my ice cream, so it was premium all the way. Hickory was aware of my idiosyncrasies and quickly took me to the dairy case where my preferences lay. The trouble was, someone was there already. He stood with the door open, looking at each of the flavors and trying to decide which one to select. Hickory stopped behind him and then sat and prepared to wait while he considered his final choice. Of course, I came to a halt too and observed the individual while I waited. He was a tall guy, maybe a basketball player. He was wearing a pair of very short red shorts. In fact, I wasn't certain if they were even covering his entire backside because he was bent over trying to view the lower shelves. He offered quite a view, as you can imagine. I began to wonder if this person was even a guy. Maybe he was a she. Yes, he or she was tall, but do guys wear shorts that short or that red? Is red actually a guy thing? Then I considered his legs. They were very long. My husband would probably observe that they went clear up to his butt. They were toothpick thin, and what guys want to display that much leg? No, he must be a girl. For some reason, it was important that I know for sure, but how could I be certain? If I asked him a question and he answered, then I would hear his voice, and that would tell me. If he spoke with a deep voice, then I would be satisfied that this was a guy with a strange dressing sense. While my scrutiny was taking place, Hickory was also studying this person who was unable to select the right flavor ice cream. Perhaps she shared my thoughts, but it is more likely that she had ideas of her own. It doesn't matter. The results would be the same. While this tall stranger was bending low to examine the lower shelf, Hickory pressed her nose forward and gently nudged his upper leg. I think she was suggesting that he could get a move on and make up his mind. The result was instantaneous. This poor startled individual jumped into the air as though he were scoring a basket, but he squealed in a high-pitched voice. I was no closer to knowing if he was a boy or a girl. What he sounded most like was a wounded pig. This startled Daddy or Mummy Longlegs turned immediately around and stared accusingly at me. I'm sorry. My dog Hickory was trying to say hello. He looked down at Hickory, who was looking up at him and wagging her tail. Oh, hello, dog. Glad to meet you. With that, he grabbed a carton of ice cream and quickly disappeared. Even after this brief introduction, I still couldn't decide, but I readily sympathized with the situation. Hickory really does have quite a cold nose, and it came so unexpectedly, too. I found the black cherry ice cream, which is Ralph's favorite, and put it in the cart. Our trip was finished. I had more than I planned to buy. The cat food and cookies were not on my list, but my backpack could hold it all. I think this is why management really likes to change things around so often. While I looked for the pickles, I bought cat food and cookies. They weren't on sale either. Hickory, find the checkout counter. She is very good at choosing a line that is short. Hickory hates to wait in line, and since I agree with her, I am happy to let her make the choice. Do you know these car commercials that like to brag about the rapid acceleration of a particular model? Something like, the Ford Mustang will go from 0 to 80 miles per hour in 8 seconds. This is exactly what Hickory did to me and the shopping cart. We were just moving at a slow, steady pace when all of a sudden I was hanging on for dear life. Hickory saw a choice spot and she wanted it. We passed a woman who was browsing the latest issue of National Enquirer and scooted into place. Was my girl smirking? Her halo was shining with its usual luster, but could those be horns sprouting on her beautiful brow? The lady was still wondering if she wanted that newspaper, and we were next in line. Had Hickory stolen this lady's place? It just goes to show that anything can happen in a grocery store. Hickory, some of your moves are absolutely brilliant. You are such a clever girl. One of us has to be, Hickory smirked as she guided me to Tim's for my donut and coffee. I wouldn't mind a Tim bit. Hickory was forever an optimist.